Hey, Mark B here, and today we're doing our first ever board game review, and we're starting with my favorite board game in the world at this point, Spartacus, based on the recent TV show on Stars. I'm going to be kind of off camera today while I talk about the various components and the like. So this game is pretty easy to learn. It takes I've never been able to play it without having to explain the rules to a new player, and it's always taken us around 3.5 hours. So I'm sure you could cut a good half hour off of that if you didn't have new people. So let's real quick see what you get and talk about what you do. You get to pick between these house cards. You have Tullius, and you have Batiatus, and you have Salonius, my personal favorite in both the show and in the board game, and Glabber. Now, one of my small complaints is that you're supposed to be playing a basically like Batiatus, you're a Lanista that hones your own gladiators and slaves and the like, and obviously Glabber is not one of those, and Tullius technically isn't either. He just financially backed one, but I could accept that. But Glabber isn't, and when the expansion comes out, the two guys in that aren't either. So that's a small bone that I could pick with the game, but what are you going to do? You also get, let's move the camera a little. You get these four different gladiators, and you'll notice, like, hey, wait a minute, there's a trident guy and another trident guy. Why you got that? I mean, that's not different. Well, that's because the company screwed up and didn't send me the sword and shield guy, but I'm supposed to get that on Tuesday. You get all the different house markers and champion markers and injury markers, different markers that are used during the game, and you get these triple colored dice and all kinds of gold, and a big nice arena, which is only used in the last part of the game, or the last phase of a round, but it's pretty nice. And then you get a couple different decks of cards. Apologize for the shaky camera stuff, but bear with me. So the anatomy of a card is on the top here. You've got a track from 1 to 12, and that is influence, and that is how you win the game. You start at either 1, 4, or 7, depending upon the length of the game you want to play. We always start at 1, and you win when you get to 12, as long as you're the only player to do so. Everybody's got special abilities that they get and a different starting setup. Basically, the first phase of the game is just like an upkeep of every round, is like an upkeep and seeing if your injured people die or live or recover. And then you go into an intrigue phase where there's red cards, which are reactions, where you can counter things that are being done, or they trigger out of turn or even in turn when a condition is met. So this is if the target player has no slaves that are untapped, basically ready is what they mean. So that's what it means, tapped or untapped. Then you could play that. And then the blue cards are your schemes, and they do whatever it says. They require this much influence to play, but your influence doesn't vanish when you play them, so it's just a requirement. You could play a full hand of 4 cards of the 4s if you had 4 influence, or you can discard it for the gold amount. You can also get other players to help you play these. So if you're short influence, you can try to make a deal to get somebody else to back you. I'll give you X amount of gold if you back my play, so on and so forth. There's also guards, which are used to prevent schemes against you. And that's the intrigue deck. Then there's a market phase where you can buy, sell, and trade amongst each other. And then there'll be an auction, closed fist auction, reveal how much money you've got, and see who wins the items. And you do 1 card for every player in the game every round. So if there's 4 players, you'll be bidding on a total of 4 items, and one at a time, so you never know what's coming up later without special abilities. The things you can buy, there's armor, for your gladiators that you own, not the gladiators. So if the gladiators die, you're not losing it. So like there's a shield right there. There's special equipment such as a net. There are slaves such as Olus here from the TV show, and they'll have special powers. You start the game, this is one of the starting slaves. So you always start with like a slave that, you know, they don't have any special powers, but you've got them. Just like when you start with starting gladiators, they have no special powers and they're very basic and they don't have a name, just Gaul warrior here. So anyway, back to what you can buy. Well, there's another slave, a Medicus. Then you can get weapons such as the trident. It gives you an attack range of 2. And then, of course, you can get gladiators, favorites from the show, such as Agron and Gannicus, who's awesome. And, of course, Spartacus. And my favorite guy in the whole show, Crixus. And, of course, Theocles, who probably should be a little better than he is because he has no special ability. And he tends to get owned by Spartacus or Gannicus every time, from what I can tell. I also have 2 promo cards right now with another one on the way. I have Acerbitus and Zephyros, who are from the prequel, just in a flashback when they're talking about Batiatus' seniors, old gladiators. Also, they have one of my pet peeves of this game. They have a card called the Thing in the Pit, which, if you remember this character from the show, his name is Ixion. He is never called the Thing in the Pit. That is a nickname given to, not even a nickname, it's something that Lucretia says to refer to Spartacus. Has nothing to do with Ixion, and so that is a poorly named card. But anyway, so you'll bid on all that, and then you will bid on who gets to host the arena match that round. The arena person invites people, including themselves, till they have 2 willing players who then put forward gladiators with equipment. And then bets are made in the various corners for victory or injury or decapitation, and then the players would place their pieces on the board such as that. And what you would do is, like say you have Theocles here, you'll get 5 red dice for attack, 5 black dice for defense, 2 blue dice for speed. And your opponent will get the same, and every time you take damage, you'll get rid of dice. You can never get rid of the last dice in a color until you have no other choice. When you've finally lost all of one color, you're defeated. If you lose the last dice in 2 colors at once, you've been injured, and if you lose all of your dice, you have been decapitated. At the end of a match, if you're not dead and you lost, the host decides if you live or die. The way the attacks work is I roll my attack, you roll your defense, and then we match our highest result, our next to highest result, and so forth. And every time the attacker wins, damage is done. If I have more attack dice than you have defense, I injure you on a 3 or better, or I damage you on a 3 or better. Speed is not only your initiative dice, but it is also how many squares you can move at a given time. Most common misconception about the strategy of this game is that speed is the dump stat. I assure you it is the opposite. Speed is a deal breaker. And if you get a higher speed than your opponent and keep winning initiative, you can zip in and out of the fight without ever getting smacked, and you can just, you know, it might take you forever to whittle down a big guy, but you can do it. Speed is probably, I think, the most important. That's enough staring at Theocles' mug. So anyway, if you win, your gladiator gets one of these favor chips, tokens, which means every time they fight from then on, they bring you gold in, and also they penalize any host that orders their death. You get 3 of those, and you get a championship, which says you bring in 6 gold every match, and you cannot be ordered to die. So that goes on every round, with those phases progressing through. And at the end of any phase, if one player has 12 influence, they win. If at the end of an influence phase multiple players have 12, which I have yet to see happen, then it goes to a gladiator tournament to decide the overall winner. I give this game a 10 out of 10, and the reason is that it has a little something for everyone. If you like games with intrigue and deal making and whatnot, even though it's kind of simplistic and just that there's the cards, the deal making between players though makes it interesting. If you like managing resources and the like, and getting new powers and new things, the bidding on the gladiators and items and whatnot is very fun and one of my favorite phases. And then of course you get to cap it off with some miniature combat. So it's a great game. I would advise anybody to pick it up. You can get it from Miniature Market, which is where I like to get all my games, for $25 plus shipping. Though I did buy this one directly from Gale Force 9 for $40. Why would I pay $15 more? Only because buying direct from them gets you the Magnetius promo card, which did not come with my game, and I am also awaiting that to be sent in the mail. So there's that. The expansion is due out in a couple weeks, but it was originally due in February, so let's hold our breath that it actually comes out. I believe that it will, because they have said that it is on the boat. That will introduce 2 new players, a bunch more cards, gladiators from the show and the like, and also rules for team battles. So that should be interesting. And if you order that directly from the company, you will get the Hadrianus promo card, they say. The other promo cards, one is gotten from playtesting at a convention. One was from sending something in on their Facebook page during a certain time, which was Zephyros that I had there. And Acerbitus was from buying the game when it came out from certain retailers. I got mine from eBay. So anyway, that is Spartacus. And like I said, if my reviews mean anything to you, I give it a 10 out of 10. It is absolutely the most fun you can have playing a board game, and I just can't say enough good things about it. I only hope that the things that I have coming in the mail actually show up. So yeah, I think that about covers everything. And I'll tell you what, also, just on a personal note, so I can round this off, is not only is it the best board game ever, but I played the board game first, and then it got me into the TV show. And if you never watched it, I also consider it the best TV show ever made. It is just amazing. And you will note that the Spartacus in the game is the new Spartacus, not the guy they got from Season 1, which is kind of unfortunate, because he had a better look to him and all that. But he did pass away from cancer, and that is a terrible, terrible thing. And but his replacement had big shoes to fill, and I think he did as well as anybody could have. So anyway, check it out, and if you're ever in my neck of the woods, stop by, and we'll have to set up a game. It's absolutely wonderful. I'll never turn down the opportunity to play this one. So see me for my next review, and good night, everybody.